the first interview of James Clapper, the former Director of National Intelligence, since he stepped down just a few weeks ago. And he gave it to CNN. He was talking about the state of national security, specifically in the context of what President Trump is arguing that the U.S. now faces. CNN's chief national security correspondent, Jim Sciutto, live in Washington with this exclusive. The timing is perfect.
Chris, you know, I've spoken to Director Clapper a number of times. He's a straight talker. He's not shy about sharing his very direct analysis on issues. And on the issue of the travel ban, here, he's differing with the president. You've heard the president say he knows something that makes this travel ban necessary. Director Clapper, who's seen all the intelligence right up to less than 3 weeks ago, says there is no intelligence to necessitate banning all travelers from these 7 countries. Have a listen.
For almost 16 years.
In his first interview since stepping down, the nation's top spy until just 3 weeks ago told us he is aware of no intelligence necessitating the president's travel ban, and in fact finds the ban damaging.
Does the terror threat necessitate the ban from these 7 countries?
Well, I don't believe we, the IC, were aware of any extraordinary threats that we weren't already dealing with. And we're using, I think, some very rigorous vetting processes, which we constantly improved on.
Does a ban like this, in your view, does it damage U.S. image, but also counter-terror partnership?
Yes. I do worry about those countries in question with whom we do deal and who are reliable partners. I also worry about this creating a recruiting tool for the extremists. They will point to this as proof that there is, in fact, a war on all Muslims.
And you're confident in the vetting that the U.S. is already doing for travelers from this country?
I am, and we have improved that process as we've gone.
Retired Director of National Intelligence James Clapper commented for the first time on the decision to brief then-President-elect Trump on a dossier alleging that Russia has compromising information on him, which CNN was first to report.
We thought that it was important that he know about it. That was the main point. Not to comment on the veracity.
In the wake of the dossier's revelation, Mr. Trump publicly criticized the intelligence community, even comparing it to Nazi Germany, which prompted a phone call from Director Clapper to Trump.
I was very concerned, and many in the intelligence community quite upset about the inference of likening the intelligence community to Nazis. I felt obliged to call the president-elect and appeal to his higher instincts and to make sure he understood what our motives were, what impelled the intelligence community is support to the commander-in-chief and to keep him as informed as possible, particularly if it involved some jeopardy to him.
Were you successful?
Well, he took the call very well. First he took the call and was very affable and solicitous, and so I thought it was a successful, it was a constructive engagement.
Director Clapper emphasized that Russia remains a clear and present danger, warning that it will continue to attack U.S. elections, perhaps even more aggressively.
Is there any reason to believe that Russia is not right now, today, continuing to attempt to or to infiltrate U.S. political organizations, individuals?
Oh, I'm quite sure they are. As I say, I think it's in their DNA, whether during the Soviet era or now.
Is it a reasonable judgment that they would try to interfere in upcoming U.S. elections, whether they're midterm or presidential?
I certainly wouldn't put it past them. If they thought it would be to their advantage to influence a national election, or a congressional election, they would.
Would it remain in the realm of information op or the possibility of actually vote counting?
Again, I wouldn't put it past them.
After nearly 5 decades in intelligence, Director Clapper said he left with genuine concerns about its future.
Particularly the last 6.5 years as DNI. not exactly stress-free. And so I think the overriding feeling I had at 12:01 on the 20th of January was a sense of relief.
But you also described foreboding?
Well, I worry, I'm not there anymore, so and I have a lot personally invested in the U.S. intelligence community. It's been a 50-year passion of mine, professional passion of mine, and so I have a lot invested in it, and yes, I do worry about it.
Boy, Jim, this is spot on just in terms of fact analysis. We'd heard from the president. They said, the president told the country, that if we gave notice of this ban, that there might have been a rush of bad guys flooding into the country. And he said he knows something about the threat. And now we hear with you and Clapper, he does not see in the facts, in the intel, a legitimate basis for imminent threat that comes from any of these areas being targeted. Your take?
No, he does not. The president has said, if you knew what I knew, what I've learned just in these past couple of weeks, you would understand. Sean Spicer from the podium at the White House had hinted at intelligence. When pressed, he didn't give any details, but Director Clapper has certainly seen the intelligence, and it echoes what I've heard, Chris, from others in the national security and counterterrorist space. You don't hear a lot of urgency for this. They're not saying, listen, these are countries, yeah, we got to slam the door today. That's a very different analysis than what you're hearing from the president.
And again, just from a fact analysis perspective, we do have to remember that the president did say, I know something about these Russian hacks. Turned out to be, I think, Julian Assange, such a different take from Clapper. And that segues us into Flynn. Okay, Michael Flynn, National Security Advisor. How compromised do you think he is after changing his story about whether or not he discussed Russian sanctions before he took office? He had said no repeatedly. Now the official word is he doesn't recollect whether he discussed sanctions.
Listen, this is a real potential problem here. I mean, you're a lawyer, you know more than me. Logan Act is thrown out there. I mean, this dates back to the 18th century, sort of similar to treason, I imagine. But there haven't been, I think maybe there's been one successful prosecution on that. But short of something in that category, you have the idea of lying to Vice President Pence, possibly, if you believe what the Vice President has said about this, or even possibly to investigators asking questions about that. That's real beyond the idea of lying to the public. So that's a real question. Then short of that, it becomes a confidence issue with the president. Does the president make a judgment this is a distraction? I mean, remember during the campaign when Paul Manafort, his campaign advisor, got caught up in Russia ties, he ended that relationship. I'm not saying this is the same. This is his national security advisor, but it's a question.
It's a question, and the real question, forget about the law. I don't think it goes that way. What is true, and can you trust what you're being told as fact from the administration? Jim Sciutto, boy, did you help us out with Clapper this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.